The time is just gone 11 minutes to 10 a.m. and we are now going across to be joined by Hafiz Hussain Choonara with the Africa Muslims Agency, and together with Chief Mandla Mandela distributed hundreds of food hampers, water, masks and oxygen concentrators to different villages in the Eastern Cape. Hafiz Hussain, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Inayat. Shukran for having us this morning on Salam Media.
Yes, Jazakallah to you for joining us, and Alhamdulillah, mashallah, looking very well, and Allah Ta'ala keep you that way, Hafiz Hussain.
Alhamdulillah, yourself, Brother Inayat. Always a pleasure seeing you and speaking to you as well.
Right, Hafiz Hussain, let's talk about this project, obviously, in the Eastern Cape. And it's amazing, when we look at organizations like Africa Muslims Agency, and in terms of how we need to adjust to the challenges, to the times. And initially, when this pandemic had started, the initial requirement was mainly surrounding food and shelter and those things, and how the needs and the challenges have changed over a period of time. We knew it was about food, it was about PPE equipment, but we're getting to a stage now where even oxygen concentrators now, that has now become the need of the hour. And just looking at AMA and how you have responded to the changes and these changing times that we're living in.
Absolutely, shukran, Brother Inayat, and you're right, absolutely. It's amazing how the essentials has changed while not taking away from the other essentials. And this weekend over in the Eastern Cape regions, together with Chief Mandela, we know him well, of the Mandela House, we were taken to different rural communities in the Eastern Cape, distributing much needed food. And it's not just because of COVID-19 that they find themselves in this situation. We know that the Eastern Cape is the highest rate of food insecurities in the Eastern Cape. A beautiful place in this country. When you're traveling amongst those hills and valleys, it looks absolutely beautiful to be there. When you're driving 60, 70 kilometers away from the nearest star road, and you're in the village of Mbezo or Kunu or Lower Nkwara or Tialaha, and all the different villages filled with history. That's the foundation and the basis of South Africa, where it's born from. But when you walk in those huts and rondavels, there are people who need food, literally need food. We've met families, and I met this one gentleman, and I asked him, where does he get his food? Does he have children? He has children. I said, where do you get your food from? Because for us to get to that village where he was, brother, it took us a couple of hours on a gravel road. And I was trying to put in my mind, wait, there's no supermarket nearby. I mean, the road we came on was probably created the day before for us to get there. And he says, well, we go to the nearest river point, and we dig. And if we find water, then we drink that water. And I thought, I was just in Malawi last month. It's the same situation. But I told him, but I just drove past the river is dry. He says, yeah, he knows. They pray for rain. So the situation, we say it's dire in those areas. It is more than that. They need food, they need sustainable projects, and it's a commitment from AMA into those regions as well to continue to support the rural communities across South Africa. I want to thank the team, of course, for highlighting the different areas that has brought our attention across the weekend, where the teams participate in distribution of hampers, oxygen concentrator. Brother Inayat, you mentioned oxygen concentrator. There's people also that are losing their life in those areas. And the oxygen concentrator was distributed to the Nosikeni hospital in Mvezo, the Mandela household, the hospital close to that area there, because people there also need assistance to combat COVID-19.
Yes. Now, obviously, I think sometimes there's very little that we know what goes on, Hafiz Hussain, in the rural areas around the country, because a lot of exposure is not actually given to what is taking place in those rural areas. You'll find the odd documentary now and then in the mainstream media, but to get to grips with the real issues on what is really taking place on the ground, this is where people like yourselves come in, Africa Muslims Agency, because you make a point to actually get into the heart of these rural areas, so that you could come out and you can obviously tell us what the reality is on the ground as far as what is happening. And I think this is very, very useful. This is important. And also at the same time, having people like Chief Mandla Mandela associated with AMA in terms of the projects that you have been running, I suppose that has been very, very beneficial as well.
Alhamdulillah, I want to thank the chief also for sharing with us the situation on the ground. And like you say, Uncle Inayat, it is the areas we've come across over the past few days. When I say extremely remote, I'm literally mean remote areas you've never heard of in your life. Driving there to get there was challenging, literally challenging. It reminded me. Took me my mind back to last month when I was in Malawi. In fact, Malawi was kind of better in some kind of logistically way, where this weekend, driving to those areas past Mtata, right down off the main road, 60, 70 kilometers with the truck. And I can tell you how organized it was in doing at least 5, 6 distributions in the day. And the chiefs of all the different areas organized with a list of people receiving. And it was swift in, distribute, and swift out, social distancing, very protocols followed. But I can share with you, when you stand there, you see how you're standing on top of a hill, brother Uncle Inayat, and it's so beautiful, so beautiful. It's green, it's lush, there's endless land, and it's beautiful. And the people are there, and you see the huts in the different villages. But I remember the one village we were in Kolo village, and we were there with a couple of hundred MPs, alhamdulillah. And in that village and in that surrounding areas, 28,000 people stay. And I felt, and I don't know what I felt when I stood on that hills, that I'm leaving today, but there's 28,000 people going to sleep hungry tonight. 28,000 people don't have food and water. I saw my mothers and my children and my grannies and my uncles standing in those queues. And it was scorching hot, and I'm thinking, where are they going to get water from? So all those who are watching and listening to Salam Media now, the African Muslim Agency teams are across the country, whether it's in the Eastern Cape or in Boysens. We know about the Boysens fire that happened. And alhamdulillah, many organizations are helping and coming to the swift aid of the people. There were thousands of people that have been displaced. Teams are on the ground distributing. And we know about Cyclone Eloise that's being gone through Mozambique and coming to the northern parts of South Africa. Thousands of families have been displaced already in Beira and other areas around the Mozambican region in the north of the country. So we encourage you. The teams are on the ground around the country. Wherever the need is required, go to africanmuslimsagency.co.za and donate. Find the campaign, whether it's the Empower SA campaign or the other campaigns, and fulfill your niyyah. Because I can tell you, people are in absolute dire need. And I reiterate the statement. When we say dire, we sometimes don't understand what it means. It means that a lady in a hut, most of the men in those villages, Uncle Inayat, are gone to work in mining towns. Which means that left in those villages are the women and the children. And they stay at home. The women stay at home to look after the children. There's no men folk. Most of them are working. And they leave on the 3rd of January and don't see them the whole year. What happens to those families? They need nourishment. They need food. And this is an opportunity for us to take benefit and serve. Serve.
Yes, definitely. And I think what you also mentioned is very, very important, is the ability to respond and respond very, very quickly. You cited the example of the Boysens fire. We know what has happened now with regard to the cyclone, and we know what's happened in the Mpumalanga region as well. And it's having the capacity and the ability to respond very, very quickly to some of these developments, which just happened overnight.
Right. You're so right, Uncle Inayat, that the ability to respond swiftly. And alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, AMA has teams that are already based. We don't have to send a team to Mozambique. Our teams are based there already with our ongoing projects that's already in place, ready to distribute And when these disasters happen, like this, the cyclone, or when there's a need for food, like you said, it has to be swift. We cannot wait. People are hungry today. People need shelter today. People need warmth today. So relief aid needs to happen. And Alhamdulillah, I want to thank the donors for their continuous support to the campaigns. It's making a difference to communities here in South Africa and globally.
Well, Hafiz Hussain, Jazakallah so much for that and for your time. And for viewers and listeners, you can go onto AM's website, and of course, all the details are there. But as always, shukran, Allah accept, Allah reward your efforts, inshallah. So,
Jazakallah to you, Uncle Inayat, and to Salam Media. I want to thank all the donors, Allah accept from everybody, and reward them in abundance. Shukran for having us on this morning.
Ameen. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was Hafiz Hussain Choonara, AMA, with us this morning. And just before we leave you, obviously, we at Salam Media have received news that is not so good recently. And this was one of our former colleagues, Muhammad Hussain Khan, and he joined Salam Media at the early inception in April 2016, and his health condition is not good at this point in time. And he resided here in Robertsham, where the studios are. And I recall Muhammad, in fact, when I joined Salam Media, he was the first engineer, and I used to do the evening show, and he was behind the controls. And at this point in time, he is not doing too well with pneumonia. He is in hospital. He is in ICU at this point in time. And for us, all of us here at Salam Media, Shamshir Khan, and also our from Ponti Molatsani as well, that he is in the coma. That's what we've heard. And at this point in time in ICU, fighting for his life. His wife has made a plea for a special dua for him, and she says, please spread this message to everyone who knows him. She says, we almost lost Muhammad Hussain on Friday. Please make special dua for him. He has pneumonia, COVID, both his lungs are damaged, and this is where the request of for du'as come, and we make dua for Muhammad Hussain. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him shifa, and also at the same time the family that is going through such a difficult time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them sabr. And this is a dua that we make for each and every person who is sick, who is not well, and also their families, because it is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who can grant us the ease and shifa during this difficult time, and also at the same time the strength that the family needs. So with that, I'm going to be signing off, and we request your duas for all of us here at Salam Media as well, inshallah. And for myself and the rest of the team here at Salam Media, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.